Sometimes we pick up small daily habits without realizing how they might affect our well-being. For many folks, including me, oatmeal is one of those comforting go-to breakfasts. It's warm, it fills you up, and it's relatively easy to prepare. I've been eating oatmeal for decades, and I've learned a lot through trial and error. Some of those mistakes felt harmless at first, but over time, I began to notice little issues cropping up in my health and energy levels. It turned out that I was making certain errors in preparing and serving my oatmeal. Who knew that something as simple as oats could trip us up? So, if you're a fellow oatmeal lover, or even just a dabbler, it's worth learning about a few common pitfalls. The last thing we want is to turn a supposedly healthy breakfast into something that might do more harm than good. I remember my first real introduction to oatmeal happened when I was in my 20s. It was an inexpensive way to stay satisfied. Plus, it felt wholesome. Over the years, I've tried everything from instant oatmeal packets to steel-cut oats simmered patiently on the stove. I've sampled its sweet, savory, and every variation in between. But as I've aged, my body's needs have changed, and I've had to adjust my approach to all foods, oatmeal included. I want to share these experiences because nobody warned me back then that certain cooking or topping habits could undermine the health benefits of a good bowl of oats. My hope is that by walking you through these mistakes and how I overcame them, you can keep enjoying oatmeal without some of the issues I encountered. Let's dive in, because these small missteps can add up to bigger problems over time. Before we go any further, I'd like to know where you're joining us from. If you find any value in these oatmeal tips, a quick like and subscribe would really help. All right, let's explore those oatmeal mistakes that can sneak up on us. I'm speaking from first-hand experience here. These are things I've either done myself or seen people close to me do. And it's surprising how a seemingly innocent breakfast can be affected by these oversights. While oats can be a great source of nutrients, like fiber and essential vitamins, they can also become less beneficial if we're not paying attention to the way we prepare and consume them. So, let's walk through these pitfalls, one by one, and hopefully, by the end, you'll be wiser about your next bowl. First up, over-sweetening your oatmeal right from the start. I know the urge. Oatmeal can taste bland on its own, so many of us reach for sugar, honey, or syrup. Believe me, I have a sweet tooth too, but heaping sugar into your bowl can turn a healthy breakfast into a dessert. In my younger years, I wouldn't think twice about drizzling a generous amount of maple syrup over my oats. I thought, hey, it's natural sugar, so it must be all right. Then I started having sugar crashes later in the day. I'd get jittery mid-morning, and by lunchtime I felt drained. I didn't connect it to my oatmeal habit at first, but once I tried cutting back on the sweetener, I noticed a difference in my energy levels and mood. Instead of loading up on sugar, try naturally sweet ingredients like fresh or frozen berries, mashed bananas, or a small handful of raisins. That way, you get a bit of sweetness, along with extra fiber and nutrients. So, if you're piling on the sugar, consider reducing it gradually. Your taste buds will adapt over time, and your body will thank you for sparing it from those daily sugar spikes. Second, relying too much on those convenient instant oatmeal packets. Yes, they're quick, and they often come in tasty flavors. I used to grab them when I was in a hurry. But have you ever read the ingredient list on some of those packets? You might find added sugars, salt, artificial flavors, and all sorts of extras that dilute the benefits of the oats themselves. Not all instant oatmeal is terrible, but many of the flavored varieties can sneak in more sugar than you'd expect. It's better to go for plain instant oats and flavor them yourself with ingredients you trust. Or if you have some extra time, consider cooking rolled oats or steel-cut oats in a pot. It doesn't have to take forever, There are ways to speed up the cooking process, like soaking oats overnight or using a slow cooker. Not only do you skip the questionable additives, but you can control the texture and flavor exactly the way you want. For me, the difference in taste and quality was well worth those extra minutes in the kitchen. It may not seem like a big deal, but over time, small additions of excess sugar and chemicals in processed packets can chip away at the healthiness of your daily oatmeal routine. Third on the list is neglecting protein. I've been guilty of this one too. Oatmeal is a good source of complex carbohydrates and fiber, but it's not exactly brimming with protein. If you have just a plain bowl of oats in the morning, you might notice you get hungry again sooner, or you don't feel as satisfied. I used to wonder why I'd be rummaging through the pantry just a couple of hours after breakfast. Then, I realized that adding a little protein helps round out the meal and keep me full longer. You can stir in some peanut butter, almond butter, or even a scoop of protein powder if that's your style. Another option is to top your oatmeal with a handful of nuts, seeds, or Greek yogurt. Some folks I know add an egg white or two while cooking the oats, which sounds odd, but it actually blends in fairly well. Experiment with what suits your palate. The point is to make sure your oatmeal isn't just carbs. That extra bit of protein can help stabilize your energy levels, keep your hunger at bay, and support muscle health, especially important as we get older and want to maintain our strength. Fourth, overloading on fatty or sugary toppings. We talked about sweeteners, but toppings can be a sneaky source of extra calories and less than ideal nutrients. A drizzle of caramel or a big dollop of whipped cream might taste good in the moment, but it's easy to overdo it. I remember a phase in my 50s when I got into this habit of adding a bunch of toasted coconut flakes and chocolate chips to my oatmeal. It felt decadent, and I told myself it was fine because I was still having oatmeal. But it's like eating a candy bar first thing in the morning. I felt sluggish and noticed some weight creep, which wasn't great for my knees. It's not that you can never treat yourself, but if this is happening every day, it starts to add up. Instead, look for toppings that pack nutrients without too much added sugar or unhealthy fats. Fresh fruit, chopped nuts, seeds, and a bit of unsweetened coconut can work wonders. If you love chocolate, consider a few dark chocolate chips rather than a heavy handful, and balance it out with some fruit. Small changes can make a big difference, and you can still have an enjoyable bowl without going overboard. Fifth, eating oatmeal too quickly without letting it digest properly. This might sound odd, but hear me out. I used to be a speedy eater when I was juggling work, family, and everything else. A bowl of hot oatmeal can be devoured in minutes if you're not mindful. But I noticed that scarfing it down made me feel bloated or overly full. Sometimes I'd add too much to the bowl because I couldn't feel my fullness cues in time. It took me years to slow down and actually chew my oats. Sounds simple, but chewing well and taking your time can help you savor the taste and give your stomach a chance to signal that it's satisfied. There's something soothing about a leisurely morning meal, and it's definitely helped me avoid those uncomfortable stuffed feelings. Plus, when you take your time, you can better appreciate the flavors and textures you've created. If you're always on the run, try to carve out even 5 more minutes to sit and enjoy your oatmeal. It sounds like a minor detail, but it can have a real impact on your digestion and your relationship with food. Sixth, skipping fiber diversity. Oatmeal is known for its fiber, but if it's the only fiber you're getting at breakfast, you might be missing out. Fiber comes in different types, soluble and insoluble, and it's helpful to have a variety of sources for overall digestive health. In my 60s, I had a spell of stomach trouble. My doctor recommended I expand my fiber intake beyond just oats and wheat. I started tossing chia seeds, flax seeds, or a few tablespoons of bran into my oatmeal from time to time. Not only did this increase my fiber variety, but it also brought extra nutrients like omega-3s. If you're not used to high-fiber foods, ease into it so you don't upset your stomach. But don't make the mistake of relying solely on oats for your fiber each morning. By mixing it up, you might find your digestion improves, you stay fuller longer, and your nutrient intake broadens. It can be an easy fix. Just sprinkle a spoonful of seeds or bran in with your oats, and you're good to go. 7th, ignoring portion sizes. Oatmeal can be deceptive because it starts out as a small amount of dry oats, then expands when cooked. Back in my 40s, I recall just pouring oats into the pot without measuring, thinking, it's healthy, so more is better. Next thing I knew, I had a huge portion that I felt compelled to finish. Overeating, even with a wholesome food, can leave you feeling sluggish. It can also contribute to weight gain or blood sugar imbalances over time, especially if you're adding extras. I finally got into the habit of measuring my oats. A half cup of rolled oats or a quarter cup of steel-cut oats is usually enough for one serving. Of course, everyone's needs differ, but it helps to at least be aware of how much you're making. If you're hungry, you can always add more nutritious toppings like fruits, vegetables, or a protein source. That way, you don't accidentally eat more oats than you need, and you balance the meal better. Paying attention to portion sizes has helped me keep a steady weight and avoid that overly stuffed feeling. 8th, forgetting to mix in healthy fats. We often talk about reducing bad fats or too much butter, but our bodies still need some good fats to function well. I learned this the hard way when I tried a super low-fat diet in my early 60s. Sure, I lost a few pounds initially, but my energy dipped and my skin looked dull. It wasn't until I reintroduced healthy fats like avocado, nut butters, or a little drizzle of flaxseed oil that I felt more balanced. Throwing a few slices of avocado on the side might sound strange with oatmeal, but you can also stir in a spoonful of almond butter or sprinkle hemp seeds on top. The point is to add a moderate amount of healthy fat, which helps with satiety and nutrient absorption. Not all fats are created equal. Aim for those that come from whole food sources rather than processed oils. You might notice you stay fuller longer and feel more satisfied, which can prevent mindless snacking later in the day. Plus, healthy fats can support your heart and brain, both of which are critical as we age. 9th, not varying the cooking liquid. Plenty of folks default to water, which is fine if that's what you prefer. But if you rely solely on water, you might be missing out on taste and extra nutrients. On the flip side, I've seen people always cook their oats in whole milk, which can make for a richer bowl but also add calories, and sometimes too much saturated fat for certain diets. A middle ground might be to use a combination of water and a milk of your choice, dairy or non-dairy. Personally, I like to use half water and half almond milk or soy milk. It gives the oatmeal a creamier texture and a little extra protein, depending on the milk variety. If you do choose dairy milk, go for lower fat versions if you need to watch your saturated fat intake, or enjoy a small portion of full fat milk if your diet allows. Varying the cooking liquid keeps things interesting and also can cater to different health needs. Experimenting with different liquids also made me realize how easy it is to add subtle flavor twists without piling on sugar or salt. 10th, believing oatmeal alone is enough for a balanced breakfast. It's easy to get comfortable thinking that a bowl of oats covers all the nutritional bases, but we have to remember that each meal is an opportunity to get a variety of nutrients. Oats are a terrific start, but they don't provide everything our bodies need. In my earlier years, I used to think a big bowl of oatmeal was the perfect breakfast. Then I'd wonder why I felt less energized around mid-morning. Now I pair my oats with a serving of vegetables, like a handful of spinach or a side of tomatoes, along with a source of protein and some fruit. Sometimes I'll have a small portion of eggs on the side, or I'll blend some berries and greens into a quick smoothie to drink alongside my oats. Think of oatmeal as one part of your morning spread, not the whole thing. By making your breakfast more balanced, you're better fueling your day, and you're less likely to reach for snacks that may not be as nutritious. It's about variety and moderation, two principles that have guided my eating habits in my 70s and helped me maintain steady energy and overall health. These are the major pitfalls I've encountered when it comes to oatmeal. Maybe some of these resonate with you, or perhaps you've noticed other missteps. The main takeaway is that even good foods like oats can turn problematic if we're not mindful about how we prepare and consume them. From oversweetening to skipping protein, each small habit can either support or undermine our well-being. Recognizing these mistakes is the first step to making a positive change. And believe me, even at age 75, I'm still adjusting my habits to ensure I'm giving my body what it needs every single day. I want to wrap this up by reminding you that oatmeal itself is not the enemy. It can be a wonderful part of your diet, providing heart-healthy fiber, stable energy, and a blank canvas for all sorts of nutritious add-ins. The trouble starts when we forget balance and moderation. Like many folks in my generation, I grew up thinking a big bowl of hot oatmeal automatically meant I was making a healthy choice. Over time, I learned that how you dress it up, or dress it down, makes a real difference. A little sugar or a topping you enjoy won't wreck your day. But if you make that a daily habit without paying attention to your overall nutrition, it can catch up with you. Listening to your body is key. If you notice you're feeling sluggish, or your weight is creeping up, or maybe your digestion isn't what you'd like it to be, take a closer look at your routine. Sometimes it's the smallest change, like measuring out your portion or swapping sugary syrups for fresh fruit, that can make the biggest difference. It took me years to realize I was practically drowning my oats in sugar. Once I scaled back, I found I actually enjoyed the natural nuttiness of oats more than the sweetness of the syrup. As I've gotten older, I've also seen how important it is to complement oats with a source of protein, some healthy fats, and maybe a fresh serving of vegetables or fruit on the side. That approach has kept me from feeling that mid-morning slump. It's a small effort to round out your breakfast, but it pays off in steady energy and better overall nutrition. Remember, too, that there's no one-size-fits-all plan. Some of us need more protein, some need less sugar, some need gluten-free grains, you name it. Keep experimenting until you find what leaves you feeling your best. Just be wary of these common oatmeal mistakes, because they can undo some of the good we expect from this otherwise wonderful food. Now, if you take away one message from all of this, let it be mindfulness. Instead of autopiloting through your breakfast routine, try being present. Consider what you're adding, how you're cooking it, and whether it truly aligns with your health goals. When we pay attention, we can tweak our habits and get a lot more benefit out of each bite we take. I truly hope these insights help you or someone you care about. If you've got an oatmeal trick or a story to share about your own experience, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Just remember, taking small conscious steps can go a long way. At 75, I'm still learning and adjusting, and it's never too late to make improvements. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I wish you happy, healthy eating and look forward to hearing about your own oatmeal adventures soon. Take good care, and I'll see you next time.